Hi folks, Jennifer Nelson here, founder of Scout Real Estate. Glad you're listening in. I created Pocket Hours podcast to elevate our game and help us all learn from the best. I have interviewed some of the top producers in our industry about best practices, among many other things. We also tackle industry issues and changes with great conversation from many of our leaders. And the best part is you get clock hours just for listening in. After you have listened to 3 episodes, just email info@scoutrealestate.com to answer a few easy questions for the interview, and you will receive your certificate. Meanwhile, enjoy listening and learning, and go out there and be the agent you would hire. Hi folks, Jennifer Nelson here with Pocket Hours, and I'm psyched to be able to bring you this show today with my friend and client, Nathan Bennett. Nathan Bennett is the owner of Plumb ADU. PLUMBADU.com is the site, and Nathan Bennett is a longtime friend and client who started a company for DADUs and ADUs, Detached Accessory Dwelling Units, Attached Accessory Dwelling Units. It's a great, fun interview. He has an awesome company. He's doing things differently. He's really catering to the client. He's bringing a great product to the market, explaining the process for those people who are like, I'm kind of interested in this, but gosh, it seems like a lot of work. He sort of takes you from soup to nuts through it and has packages that really handle the whole thing, communicating well throughout the entire process. So here you go. Take a listen to Nathan Bennett at Plumb ADU. Nathan, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. This is exciting.
Yeah, it's really fun. Nathan Bennett started a company called Plumb ADU, Plumb PLUMB, and then ADU stands for Accessory Dwelling Unit. And we're going to get to all that fun stuff later. But first of all, I just wanted to say this is Nathan and I's crazy story. I love this story. So Nathan used to work for a solar company, A&R Solar. And he comes to my house as a representative of that company to talk to me about getting solar in my house. We ended up chatting in the kitchen for like a half hour about all things not related to solar, real estate, and whatever else. And turns out Nathan was in the market to buy a home. So was just about to get married to his sweetheart and helped he and his wife buy their first home. So he became a client, which is awesome. I ended up getting solar, which is also awesome. We'll take that. And then we just continue to stay in each other's lives. And then fast forward, I'm getting a DADU, a detached accessory dwelling unit with a company called Abodu. And Nathan then works for Abodu. So I'm like, no way, you're with Abodu now? You're not with A&R Solar? And so then we're reconnecting on that level, and we get that DADU in place on one of my rental sites. And then Nathan says, you know what? I can do this better. I can do this better than Abodu. I can do this better than other companies. I have the skill set coming into this. So he's created his own company, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So yay, here we are.
Yeah,
Look at this, full circle. I love it.
exactly.
So Nathan, tell me a little bit about what have you done prior to this? What led you to opening up this company?
Yeah, so I grew up working in the construction industry. My dad's a general contractor down in California, so I've always just loved homes, loved the building process, and moving up to Seattle, especially the past 3 or 4 years, ADUs has been a really hot topic. There's a lot of great benefits that come from building ADUs on your property. So the value that it adds to homeowners is just amazing. And personally, being able to build basically a house, but a small scaled house, so you can kind of do it in a very proficient way and a repeatable process and provide homeowners a good experience. So, there's millions and millions of decisions that have to go into building a custom home, but with an ADU, it's a little bit more approachable. And so I think it's an exciting way to be able to do what I love while helping out homeowners as well.
That's so cool. So you said your dad's in construction in California. You've done sort of solar work. You've done work with ADU, DADU companies before. What else have you done sort of in your past lives that you think contribute to, this company now?
I've worked in construction my whole life, and I've just been really interested in homes, home design, and the building process of homes. And so from an early age, I've just always been drawn to that. When I first moved up to Seattle about 12 years ago, I worked in the tech startup world, which is way different than construction. And so I think that being able to be a part of that kind of environment where you're using technology and many different tools of technology, it gave me an advantage when moving over into construction, since construction is historically a very outdated industry. And so being able to use different softwares to stay on top of budgets, on schedule, and then communication as well, bringing that experience into the construction industry has just been really helpful.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's almost like you can speak tech, right? Like there's some
Yeah.
like secret language that you have access to because of your background. That's great. So you created this company called Plum ADU. What should realtors know about ADUs? I know that's a big question, but as you're thinking about this is primarily a podcast, to realtors, and then hopefully they can pass it on to their clients as well as they learn about ADUs. But as realtors, we encounter clients who are saying, gosh, should I do this thing? What could be good for it? Is there anything that pops to mind about what we should know about them?
Back in 2019, the city of Seattle changed their ADU policy to make it a lot more approachable for homeowners to be able to build ADUs. They removed a lot of the barriers that homeowners would often run into, just trying to encourage more density in the city. I'm sure most of your agents and most people out there are aware of the housing crisis and that we need to build more housing. And we're seeing our cost of housing increase. And so building more housing is really important not only to the city of Seattle, but the whole state of Washington. So, Seattle passed the legislation back in 2019, and then just about 2 months ago, they rolled that out statewide. So, the same legislation that passed in 2019 is now statewide in Washington. And so, some of those things, it allows you to build up to two ADUs on a property, up to 1,000 square feet each. One is attached, one is detached. So, we call those up here AADUs, standing for Attached Accessory Dwelling Unit, and DADUs, DADUs, Detached Accessory Dwelling Unit. How I like to explain it is for most of us, our home is going to be the biggest purchase that we make in our lifetime. It's our biggest investment. And so building ADUs is a way to maximize your investment. You can turn your property into two properties or even three properties. You can generate rental income. A lot of customers we see are building ADUs that they're moving their kids who are newly out of college and want to move back home but can't afford to live back at home. So they're moving them into the ADU with the idea that eventually, as the parents age, that they would downsize into the smaller house and then that their child or whoever would take over the larger house. We call that aging in place. And so there's just a lot of benefits to building ADUs. Not only do we need more housing in the area, but on a personal level, it's a way to just kind of maximize your largest investment, get the most money out of it. What we're seeing a lot of people doing now is mostly on the investor side, is that they're buying single family homes and either tearing down that single family home and building a main house, an attached ADU, and a DADU all on the same property. And then they are setting up HOAs and they can sell off each unit individually. Yeah, I guess just the benefits and what's possible with ADUs is just huge.
Yeah, that's great. A couple things you said that made me think of stuff. So, personal example, because I have this in my own life, is that I bought a single family home in West Seattle on 11th. It was a tiny home already by itself, but there was a carport behind it that was sort of not making me any money, to be honest. It was just a covered spot for them to park. And so ripped out that carport and put a dadu back there, built a fence that separated the two spaces so they really feel like their own home, their own yard, and now rent that dadu as well. Again, even when I do the long term math, being able to pay off that dadu, there will be a day when that turns over where no longer am I paying off the dadu, but the dadu is now paying the mortgage on the main house. So just from a financial perspective, from my own story, that's the goal, is to be able to have two incomes on one property, and that eventually one would be paying for the other, right? So
Yeah,
that's truly what we call, what financial advisor calls that, is building your ATM, right? Building your
right.
ATM. So this is part of that, right?
Definitely.
The other thing that Nathan you mentioned is what we call condoizing in Seattle, and that's they're realizing people that have these on one tax parcel can actually go into the city of Seattle and condoize them through a format. Takes a little bit of expertise, but it's not terrible. And make one be able to be sold off independent of the other without subdividing the lot and making two parcels. So again, you have to create condo HOAs. You have to, do all those things. But at the end of the day, it allows you to buy a DADU, and in the long term, if you wish to sell it off from the main house, you can do that without a lot of hassle. So pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just to reiterate, and I'm probably going to miss one, but I was taking notes as you were talking. People are using these right now, especially post-pandemic, but during pandemic too, for a home office, creating a DADU and then being able to write it all off, if they're an independent contractor, the entire building as a home office and using it specifically for that. They're using it for mother-in-law, having an aging parent. They're using it as an Airbnb. So you build it, you live in your house, you rent the back space every now and then, on Airbnb or VRBO. Long-term rentals, being able to, especially in our market, with the cost of rentals right now, I know that my 500 square foot little dadu nets $2,000 a month. So pretty good options for that. And then you said aging in place. This idea of, hey, we're living here now, but we know eventually we don't need that much space and we could sell off our house and still live in the same, area of town, but in a smaller footprint. So is there anything else that you can think of that I haven't listed that people are using them for?
Just to add on to that aging in place, it's also another option to an assisted living facility, which is very
Mm,
costly.
yeah.
And so, if you're thinking about moving a parent into an assisted living, spending seven, eight, $9,000 a month, this is a more affordable way to move your older loved one into a home, save money, and also keep them close as well.
Tell me what makes Plum different. There's options out there for dadus. It's sort of caught on. I know some companies like Abodu have been in Washington and are now sort of getting out of Washington. There's other options. So what makes your company different?
In construction, especially in the past 10, 15 years, you're seeing a lot of venture capitalists coming into the market, trying to figure out how to scale residential construction, how to do it on the masses and do it quick and efficiently. And so you're seeing a lot of companies that are doing prefab building in factories offsite, and then craning them onto foundations. You're seeing 3D printing, you're seeing panelized building. All this is new technology. And with that, especially when the economy maybe goes down a little bit, as it always does, it really puts those types of companies in a really hard spot, and doesn't provide the homeowner with the best experience. You see a lot of delays, you see a lot of miscommunication, and nobody exactly knows what's going on. So I think that what we do at Plum is we're a traditional builder. We actually call ourselves a collaboration. We have architects that we work with. We are the builder, and we know the whole process. So really, we try to start the relationship with the homeowner from their very first step. We aren't going to be a builder for the property investor necessarily. We aren't going to be the cheapest builders out there. Our goal is to provide homeowners and families of Seattle with a reliable building experience. We use all the latest technology that helps with our scheduling to be as efficiently as possible. We track our budget very diligently, and we're a local company, and so we really pride ourselves on communication and just providing the homeowners with an honest, trustworthy experience. And we've designed some of our pre-designed units in a way that maybe one day we could move into that off-site construction, building in factories and then craning them onto foundations. But we don't want to do that until we know that that industry is kind of ready to go, and that they could actually provide a customer with a good experience. So yeah, we're a local builder. Uh, we focus on ADUs, so that's our bread and butter. We know the process from beginning to end, and there's nothing that really makes us necessarily different. I think that we're just trying to be the best at what we know works.
Yeah, for sure. Communication is key, obviously, in all of life. And so, some of my experience in the past with contractors, bless their hearts, and I say that in the most southern way, is that communication isn't their strong piece. And so, what I know from you over many years now of us knowing each other in whatever industry you're in, is that that's a definite strength of yours. And so being able to have a customer get in touch with you at Plum and ask questions or have the process clearly identified is definitely, I think, a strength of your company. Tell us a little bit more about that pre-designed packet. So someone comes to you to Plum and says, we want a DADU. What options do they have?
Yeah, so right now on our website, we have a one bedroom and a studio. And you can go on plumadu.com. That's PLUMB ADU.com and see those. That's a package that we just know very well. And so that's an option for homeowners. Now, it's no different than there's a website out there that I'm not sure if you're familiar with, Jennifer, or maybe some of your listeners are, but the aduniverse.com. So aduniverse.com is a City of Seattle website, which back in 2019, when they rolled this out, they put this together for homeowners to kind of learn a lot of information. They actually have a property search tool that will tell you what's possible on your property. And then also onto that, they have a lot of pre-designed units as well. And so that's kind of a similar idea that what we do on our pre-designed units. Now, those AD Universe pre-designed units are from some local architects and non-local architects. So they had people submit that are architects in Denver and in other locations as well. But we build those as well. And then we also we have an architect in our collaboration that we can do custom design stuff too. The issue with doing those pre-designed units is every site's different. And so, the structure itself doesn't change, but the foundation, the dirt work, the utility tie-in, that's all going to be different. And so there's still a lot of work that goes into it. And I think a lot of homeowners get confused when they see the price tag on the AD Universe website that lists plan sets for $1,000. If you read the fine print, then it's about $150 per hour for additional work. And most of the time, the majority of the work is going to be that additional work. You're going to need to get maybe soil samples, geotechnical engineer. You're going to have to get sewer scopes and do all of your utility trenching to tie electrical, sewer, and water in. So the idea behind the pre-design units, to be honest, is, to help people get inspiration. It's not necessarily much of a money saver, I would say, but it's more just to kind of help them envision what's possible. At the end of the day, we still have to do a lot of custom work on each job. Every site's going to be different. But a great tool, and I highly recommend anybody that's interested in ADUs or just curious in general to check out aduniverse.com property listings. So every time that maybe you and a homeowner are looking at a property or you have a new listing popping up, take a look, put the address in there and see what's possible. It'll tell you a high level look if you're able to build an ADU, what you can build, and then the different specs of your property.
So, Nathan, thank you for that. That's great info. Is it still true? It used to be true in the city of Seattle that there's the 80-20 rule. So you can't cover more than 80% of your lot with buildings. Is that still the case, even with the DADU?
I'm not too familiar with the 80-20 rule itself. I think there's some loopholes that people go around because I'm seeing these condoized units taking up way more of the property than what I thought was possible. Unfortunately, I don't know
Okay.
off the top of my head what the coverage rule is, but there is a lot coverage that you have to stay within.
Pocket Hours is brought to you by Scout Real Estate. Hi, I'm Jennifer Nelson, owner at Scout Real Estate. I started this firm with the vision of doing things differently, with our focus on legendary service for our clients and creating a community of producing agents to spur each other to do higher quality work. If you are interested in learning more about how a small group of like-minded brokers have come together to have some fun while doing a lot of business, reach out to me, 206-227-7966, or email jennifer@scoutrealestate.com. I promise you this, fun is a high priority for me, but so is winning. So if you appreciate those two things, you might be interested in Scout. Looking forward to hearing from you. These cottages that are popping up all over the city that builders are buying one lot, and putting up 5 houses. So there must be some loopholes there to
Yeah.
be able to make that happen. So talk to us a little bit about, like you said, a package. Let's say someone comes to you and says, we want a DADU. Are you helping them from soup to nuts, meaning, gosh, here's an architect, here's what we need to do just to put the foundation in, all the way to it's done and finished and we're tying in electrical and all that? Is that sort of the plan for the package with Plum?
Yeah, so we break our process into three different phases. Phase one is going to be the pre-construction phase. And so that's going to include a site visit with myself and our architect. Our architect is Brett Weeman out of Columbia City. And we come to site, we talk you through the process, we get your ideas if this is a custom build, we get your ideas on kind of what you're looking for, what kind of layout do you want. And from there, we send you a contract for just phase one of the process. And that's just getting the architectural plans, that's going through the permitting, and getting your approved plan set. So once we have that approved plan set, you're able to either take that plan set, shop it around, but what we will do is provide you with a construction quote from ourselves to build that. And that would be phase two. So phase two is going to be construction. We break everything down by line item. We provide you, as a part of phase one, a detailed construction budget, really an estimate what we think this is going to cost, and we bring subs out to site. We get all of their costs. And then, so it's something that we find a lot of value in for homeowners, whether they go with us to do the build or if they just need to have that as a resource to compare with other bids. Having a detailed estimate of what it's going to cost is really important. A lot of contractors might try to give you a lump sum cost, and what they do there is they usually overestimate it because they need to make sure they cover any missteps. And it gives them an opportunity to make a larger chunk of change too. And so they start undercutting things. Not everybody, but there's those people out there. And so how we want to do our pricing is we provide you with that estimate. We break down every line item and say, hey, this is how much this is all going to cost. We are confident in our ability to catch most everything, but we still charge on a time and material basis. And we just find that that's the most transparent way to price out a project. As a homeowner, as a customer of ours, you would see every single receipt. You would have a dashboard to be able to track your budget in real time throughout the project. And then you just know where all your money's going. You know how much money we're making for our fee. And then there's just no hidden cost associated with it. So for us, we just feel like that provides the best customer experience, and it's just the easiest way to be transparent.
And I'm going to go back to phase one because I think this is sometimes what our clients get overwhelmed by, and that's dealing with the city, period, is a headache. I'm just going to say that. I've done it enough times in my life, and it depends on who you're talking to and when you're talking to them and if they had a fight with their spouse the night before. I mean, it's literally that changing of a situation. And so taking that away from us in a good way, taking it off our plate and saying, hey, phase one, we've got this. We know how to do it. We've made relationships with people down there. Our product is tried and true. They know our product. And so this is going to be a lot easier for us. And if you end up using us later to build it, great. But even if you don't, we're going to get you through phase one. I just sort of love that you break that up into
Yeah.
those phases. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and then I forgot to mention phase three, which is just the
Yeah.
final inspections, cleanup, site cleanup, and then move in and key handover.
Okay. And you are also helping people connect all the utilities and sewer and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, yep. So think of
Okay.
us as a one-stop shop from beginning
Okay.
to end. We'll take care of everything for you.
Okay. Okay. One of the things that I didn't really figure out and wasn't told with the company I used was about the sewer capacity charge. And so I'm just sort of making a note now for everybody listening that anytime you build anything on a lot, the city of Seattle is going to charge you to connect to the sewer. And so, you can pay it in a lump sum or you can pay it monthly over a time period, but that is an additional piece of money that you need to be aware of when you're creating one of these. So
Yeah.
just a note.
Totally. And to add on to that, sewer connections is a tricky one. Anything underground that we can't get eyes on, we just don't know what the condition is. And so we have seen that sometimes you need to increase the size of your sewer main, or the connection to the city where the connection happens. And that could be really costly stuff, and stuff that you just don't know until you get in there. And so what we do as a part of phase one is that sewer scope as well, which gives us a good idea of the condition that your pipes are in, and then if it could handle the additional capacity as well. And so, yeah, there's a lot of steps out there that are important to take before you get too far down the process that could put a hold on your project and can be really frustrating. But nonetheless, it's always best to catch that as early as possible and know what you're getting into before you have a huge financial commitment down the road.
For sure. So talk to me a little bit about, you sort of said you do phase one, here it is, and then phase two. During phase one and two, you're saying ballpark, here's what I think this project is going to cost. So how close are you getting at the end of the day to that ballpark in your projects?
So in our estimate, we also still provide an oh shoot line item. Hey, this is, $5,000. We don't know if we're going to use it. We don't want to use it, but just in case it does happen, we want to make sure that we account for that. We're getting pretty close. At this point, we're pretty well versed in the process, but it is going to depend on what we're building too. The different finishes, change orders. Sometimes homeowners, when we're doing a custom build, they decide they don't want that siding, or they want a metal roof instead of a comp shingle roof, or maybe they want to add solar or take it away. And so, we still have a lot of changes during that phase, and that's kind of the nice thing about building on site instead of in a factory, is that you can customize it and you can see the way things look, and then in real time you can just make a change if you want to make a change. And so, a lot of projects do have changes from that initial estimate, but for the most part we're getting pretty close. And our goal is to come in under that. And that's kind of the nice thing about our budget tracker that we use, is that we try to update it on a weekly basis. And so every time you want to check in and see where the project's at, where maybe something happened in the market, and you don't have as much money as possible, and you need to put a hold on it, worst case scenario, you know where we're at every week that we're on your site. And so just providing that insight in real time, and keeping it up to date as much as possible, I think is a really valuable tool for homeowners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So last two questions, and then I'll give you a chance to kind of say anything else about Plum you want to say. But last two questions for me are, let's talk about timeline. So if I'm considering this process, what am I looking at for you to do it from beginning to end? So by the time I get handed keys, how much time?
Roughly a year. Right now the permitting process has been a lot quicker for the city. There's not as much building happening right now. We're in a little bit of a lull, and so we're able to push those through a lot quicker than before. Before this time, probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it was taking 4 to 6 months to get permits. Now we're seeing it closer to 2 to 3 months, and that can change again. And so it's really hard to know for sure. But right now, our goal is to build within a year. I think that we are going to be coming in a lot quicker than that, to be honest with you. But when we're setting expectations with homeowners, we want to set it for a timeline that we know we can hit. So I'd say a year.
Okay, a year. And then, of course, my last question is going to be about cost. And so
Hmm.
I know that that's variable, and I know that obviously it depends on a lot of different things. But if you were to say, hey, average person that wants to do a DADU, you should probably account for at least this much money, what would that be?
I would say about $500 per square foot, and that would be an
Okay.
all-in cost. So
Okay.
easy to do the math on whatever size you're thinking. But a good rule of thumb for us is just $500 per square foot, and then that would include the entire process. So going through
Okay.
permitting, yeah, getting your budget, getting your schedule, getting all the materials, project management.
Okay. Yeah, project management stuff. Okay.
And it could come in a lot lower than that. I'd say a good average is going to be that $500 per square foot. And these homes, you got to keep in mind that these DADUs do take on the same price per square foot as your main residence too, and that will increase over time as we see it happening. So if you're building for, let's say, $500 square foot, your main house is, let's say, $600 per square foot. That $500 per square foot is always going to stay consistent, whereas the value of it over time is going to keep increasing.
To do the math for that, just for because I love math, I really do. Um, my 500 square foot little dadu would come in at about 250-ish thousand dollars working with your company from beginning to end. And so when you think about the cost of that, keep in mind that $250,000 for a place that you can likely rent for 2,000 plus a month, and or use for these other purposes, is honestly a hell of a deal. The versatility of these places and its additional value to your main site, your ability to make income on something else while you're still living in your house, etc. I mean, the list goes on, which is why I did it. And it's certainly working for me. But I think considering this, and a lot of people are, as a great value, is awesome. And then I'm going to just say a plug because Nathan, I've known you for a while now. And like I said earlier in the show, your ability, first of all, you're just a kind of an even keeled, nice guy, and that's something right there. But your ability to communicate, I think, is what really makes you stand out. And you've thought this process through really well to be able to offer a different product than what's being offered out there. And so I dig that. So well done. I'm excited for
Thank,
your company. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, thanks,
Anything else
Jennifer.
that we should know? So again, it's plum, PLUMBADU.com. And this is Nathan Bennett, who is the primary owner of this company. Anything else that we should know about your company?
Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
But we love working with real estate agents. We think that the real estate agent partnership is a great opportunity for us. And so we are working with a couple agents that they'll send me potential listings, and I'll do some due diligence on it. And I'm trying to work out a way that I can create renderings on the listings to show homeowners what's possible that they can use during an open house. So feel free, any agents out there that have a property that they're curious about. My email address is Nathan, Nathan, at plumadu.com. Again, plumb.adu.com. But feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any listings, and use me as a resource for any type of ADU questions.
That's so awesome. I love that you just added that because what a value that you can visually give to potential buyers for your listings on a house that it completely makes sense to add one of these. We stage all the time for the same reason. We want a buyer to see what a house could look like in its best format. We put up silent talkers all over houses to sort of say, hey, potential wine cellar here. So this is just another opportunity for you to say, here's what a DADU outside would look like. Here's the estimated cost of this. And then this is how much this could bring into this home, potentially
Definitely.
monthly. So what a great value for us.
Our goal is to be able to provide you with a quality photo that shows these renderings of potential ADU locations and designs too, but mostly just the locations and size. Our goal is to be able to use it as a way that you can upload it onto Zillow or Redfin
Mm,
onto the listing too, and then we can get our little logo on the side just to get some brand awareness. But one stipulation of that is that you can't upload that to the MLS. You can't upload any type
right,
of branding to the MLS. And
right.
so through directly on Redfin and Zillow, you are able to. So just another thing to keep in mind if you
hmm
guys are interested in using that.
That's great. Good to know. Good clarification. Well, it's been super fun to have you on the show. Thanks for being on Pocket Hours. And for our listeners, check out Plumb ADU. Talk to Nathan about it. And also, this is a great show to send to clients that are potentially interested in putting one of these on their property. So thanks for being on the show, Nathan.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you so much for listening into Pocket Hours. I hope this has been interesting, fun, made you laugh, made you think, spurred you on to do and implement some new things in your business. I appreciate your time and hope this has been a good use of it, period. Now, go be the agent you would hire.